Welcome to this PowerPoint overview of Sandler Kahn's Project Resource Estimating and Planning, also known as PREP. As we review the following slides, I'll quickly cover PREP's basic functionality. After this overview, be sure to take a look at the other demonstration videos. There's one on estimating and one on scheduling. As role-playing demonstrations, they're engaging and informative. So who is PREP intended for? If you're a project-driven company and you want to manage your resources, possibly using them as the basis to develop estimates and proposals, then you're looking at the right product. In other words, PREP is intended for project-driven companies who need to manage resources, use those resources to develop estimates and quotes, and/or schedule those resources in light of their availability. So, what exactly is PREP? It's a module that extends the capabilities of the already formidable Solomon project series, allowing you to perform estimating, create proposals and quotes from those estimates, schedule projects and tasks, assign and schedule resources to any task on any project, all the while graphically managing resource capacity and overall utilization and backlog. Here's an example of how PREP might be used over the life cycle of a project. First, we might want to do a rough cut estimate using broad brush cost and billing rates. You might want to do a rough cut estimate to help determine the feasibility of doing a project. If you need to be more precise in your estimating, a detailed estimate may be what you're looking for. A detailed estimate uses rates associated with actual resources. You may use one or the other or both methods of estimating on any project. Once you're satisfied with your internal estimate, you can generate a proposal or quote by pushing that data to your own formats using Microsoft Word. Once you win the bid, you'll likely want to generate your budgets using the estimate you've developed. PREP will help you do this with a single button click. Next, you may want to schedule your project and its resources. PREP will help you identify and resolve overloads and balancing. And when you're ready to run the project, simply activate it and begin collecting your costs as with any Solomon project. Some other options available to you when you're estimating a project are the ability to copy estimates from any other project in the system, as well as the ability to copy from templates that you may have set up. The ability to recalculate an estimate comes in very handy when you've copied an estimate from another project, or if you've resurrected an estimate that you put together sometime in the past, where rates may have changed. Also, an unlimited number of attributes can be assigned to your resources. These attributes, which define a resource's characteristics, can be used during resource scheduling to aid in the selection of resources. As mentioned previously, a rough cut estimate uses broad brush cost and billing rates. These rates are associated with resource categories that you define, such as consultants or managers or equipment. As part of the development of your rough cut estimate, you may want to identify expenses or other costs associated with a project. Here's an example of a rough cut estimate. Note that we estimated using resource categories and a couple of expense items. We simply specified the units of each, and PREP identified the appropriate cost rates and calculated their extended values, along with the appropriate billing rates and extensions. We're then able to examine the projected profit at the item, task or phase, and project levels. If you need to be more precise in your estimating, a detailed estimate is probably what you're looking for. In a detailed estimate, you identify the specific resource you are likely to use, as opposed to the category of resource. PREP will help you determine the availability of resources for the time period required, and will use the rate structures you've identified with the project system to develop a more accurate estimate. Here's an example of a detailed estimate. Notice that it's identical to a rough cut estimate, except that we're using specific resources along with their more specific cost and billing rates. The result is a more finely tuned estimate. Now that we've created an internal estimate with PREP, we can use that data to create our proposal or quote. PREP extracts the data from the estimate and processes it through to Microsoft Word using Word templates that you tailor to meet your requirements. Placement of data in the template is accomplished using Word's mail merge technology. PREP is delivered in multiple formats that you can easily clone and modify to suit your needs. If you'd like to express your proposal as a range or in rounded numbers, PREP will accommodate you. Here's an example of a quote where we want to see all the resources we've selected, along with their hours and billing rates and extensions. We elected to use a tabular format as well. In this example, We're still using a tabular format, but we've eliminated the rate column and are summarizing only. In addition, we've selected that we want the proposal expressed as a range, in this case the base billing estimate plus 10%, and are rounding to thousands of dollars. These formats can be saved with the specific quote. Now let's discuss the planning and scheduling side of PREP. PREP was built as an alternative to Microsoft Project Server. From the ground up, it's a highly integrated extension of Solomon's project series, intended for companies who need some of the scheduling features that MS Project provides, but who want a less complicated, more deeply integrated solution, or want to use it as a stepping stone to Project Server. PREP lets you schedule and reschedule projects and assign and schedule resources. Having done that, you can graphically monitor your planned utilization of resources to determine where you need additional work to keep your resources fully utilized, as well as where your resources are overloaded, pointing out where you need to procure more. This visibility of backlog can be expressed as percentages and, assuming you have the access rights, in projected cost, revenue, and profit dollars. Let's take a look at an example of how PREP represents utilization and backlog. First, you select whether you want PREP to summarize into weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual groups. Then you choose the level of detail you're interested in. For example, you may want to see how you're doing at the resource category level, like consultants or engineers, etc. On the other hand, you may want to see specifically which resources are the offending culprits. Here's an example of a weekly summarization of projected utilization at the resource category level. We've now switched to the Utilization and Backlog tab of the same application. Notice that we have the categories of resources grouped in the gray area. For the week of June 14th, our consultants are 96.7% utilized, which is calculated based on the availability or capacity of consultants for that time period and the scheduled load against those resources, as the tooltip shows. As mentioned previously, we have the ability to view the projected cost, revenue, and profit dollars of that backlog, assuming we have the proper access rights. Here's a screenshot that shows just that. We're assuming the same time slice and level information. We've simply checked a box that says to include dollars. Here we see the cost, revenue, and profit dollars that consultants are scheduled to contribute to the week of June 14th. Remember that all these settings can be saved as a view that we can simply recall and run at any time in the future. Now let's talk a bit about the scheduling side of PREP. First, it's graphical, as you'll see in a moment. You can schedule a single project or multiple projects, as well as a single task, which you may refer to as a phase, or multiple tasks, even multiple tasks across projects. You can schedule resources using a variety of scheduling techniques. PREP gives you lots of graphical feedback tools to help you determine where your problems are and what you should do about them. If your goal is to schedule a project or monitor your project schedule, you'll be using PREP's Project Schedule tab. First, select the projects you wish to deal with. Next, select the level of detail you want to see. Finally, select the time frame you're concerned with and execute the view. This is an example of a view that only shows projects we're currently working on for the phone company. Here we see the Gantt bars for the project, task, or phase, and the resource assignment and schedule step. There's lots of functionality here, so be sure to view the demo video on scheduling. If you're a resource manager, PREP's there to help again by giving you the tools to analyze daily forecast utilization by resource. First, decide if you want detail or summary information. Then select your time frame. This is a different tab on the same predefined view we used to see the project schedule. We configured this tab to comfortably show 3 weeks worth of data. Notice that the tooltip is showing us that Wendy Wheeler is overloaded on June 8th as a result of having been scheduled to work on 2 different projects on that day. Again, be sure to take a look at the demo video on scheduling to get a closer look at the functionality on this tab, as well as how to construct your own views. So, let's recap what we've just covered. First, PREP's estimating functions are based on estimating resources. After you've put the estimate together, you can generate a proposal in Microsoft Word. Once the customer accepts your proposal, PREP can easily drive the estimate numbers into the project budget. by scheduling projects and resources with Prep. You're then able to monitor your planned utilization of resources as well as your project backlog. After you've viewed the other videos on Prep, be sure to contact your Microsoft Business Solutions reseller for a demonstration. Thank you.